Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3698B, and today's date is July 30th, 2025, and the title of the episode is Cyber Attacks, Tsunami of Information. Did Trump just trap Obama with presidential immunity? Let's talk about our health. We've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true, and it's not some weird trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You're probably used to cooking with it, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself look and feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert, and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible, whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits, but if you're looking to get the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick. The olive oil industry is huge. You can tell by the number of olive oil brands you see at the grocery store, and you can bet they're not all made with the consumer in mind, and many brands may even cut corners one way or another to increase profits. When Dr. Gundry came to this realization, he was appalled, but some olive oils are so powerful, it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So, how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and which one isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that question, Dr. Gundry decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you see it so you can start benefiting immediately. You can watch the video right now by going to getolive1.com/x22 or by clicking the link in the description box below. That's getolive1.com/x22 or just click the link in the description box below. People have taken his advice, have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules has helped change their lives. Make sure you go to getolive1.com/x22 or click the link in the description box below this video. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, you can see they're trying to fight the evidence that is coming out now against them. And eventually what's going to happen as Trump and team continually puts out more and more evidence and they try to spin it, there's going to come a point where they won't be able to stop it. Yes, it's drip, 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 but basically it's going to be a flood of information. And this flood is going to destroy them. They know this. They know what is coming. And I do believe the deep state players, they probably are planning a way to try to stop the flow of information. And yes, there could be an explosion as a false flag event. There could be a pandemic as a false flag event to try to stop all this. But I do believe one of the ways they might try to do this is with a cyber attack. And we know going back 2 or 3 years now, probably not 3 years now, we know that the World Economic Forum, they pushed the idea of a cyber attack. The IMF said that the financial institutions are ripe for a cyber attack. And what's very interesting is that we've seen a cyber attack in Russia, we've seen one in the UK, and we've seen one in St. Paul, Minnesota, where Governor Walz actually called out the National Guard, which is very, very interesting. So I do believe when everything becomes uncontrollable, where they can't control the flow of information, I do believe the deep state players, they will attempt a cyber attack. Now, remember, this also goes together with the economy. I mean, think about what happened in 2020. Trump and team, the economy was roaring. He was playing within the central bank illusionary economy, but he made the economy absolutely incredible. The elections were coming up. And the deep state players knew that he had the people behind him. They knew, actually, that because of the economy, because of peace around the world, it was going to be very, very difficult to win the elections with the cheating system that they had in place, because they never experienced anything like this before. They never experienced this type of individual, an outsider, where he really cares about the economy, cares about the people, doesn't want war. And this is a major, major problem for them because this is all the things that people actually want. So they looked at this and they said, holy crap, okay, he has the economy really doing well. He stopped the wars with the Abraham Accords across the world. And basically, the people are with him. how in the world are we going to stop them? The cheating system that we have in place right now will not do the trick. We're going to have to actually ramp this up because we can't allow this to happen. And this is why they released this virus on not just this country, but around the world. They had to make it look really, really good. Plus, they thought, oh, this is the perfect time. We can do the Great Reset, the Green New Scam. This will be absolutely perfect. Actually, they made that announcement in March. Klaus Schwab, Prince Charles at the time, they made the announcement that this is the perfect time. So they thought, oh, this is going to be great. And what we'll do, once we release this, we will try to bring down the market. So this way the economy fails. Remember, George Soros, during his time in Switzerland, he said, listen, the market is overheating. It's going to come down. And you know what they did? They sold off and they were trying to force the market to crash. And this way they can blame everything on Trump. Now, the market, yes, it came down, but did it crash? No. Trump and team, they were able to keep the market up. And he opened the economy very, very quickly. Now, they still blamed him for job loss. Now, there were no jobs that were lost. Basically, they told everyone to go home. Listen, you can't work right now because we got a pandemic going on. So, yes, people were going to collect unemployment. It doesn't mean that you lost your job. It means they put a pause on everything and they told everyone to go home. If they said everything's opened up again, everyone would go back to the same exact job. Now, over time, yes, there were certain businesses that went out of business because they couldn't function. And they tried to use that against Trump to say he's the one who destroyed the economy. And then, of course, when the resident came into the picture, they said, oh, I was able to create all these jobs. No, the people just went back to the same exact jobs that they had before that Trump created. So they tried to do this in 2020. Now here we are in 2025. What is Trump doing? Well, he's creating a parallel system. He's declassing everything. He's pointing the finger at all these individuals, Obama, Clapper, Biden, Brennan, Hillary Clinton, you name it, saying they're treasonous to this country. The entire Russia collusion thing was one gigantic hoax. They planned it. They used fake information. They made the American people pay for it, like $32 million. And the fake news, they kept on repeating it over and over and over, making people believe that this was real. They actually formed a coup against a sitting president. Now, they cheated in 2016, but it wasn't enough because they never expected Trump to use the Electoral College to actually vote for him. So now with Trump showing everyone that these are the treasonous people and they're spinning the information and he keeps bringing out other information that actually counters their spin, it's becoming very, very difficult for Obama, very, very difficult for Brennan Clapper, Hillary Clinton, and the rest. So how do they stop this? Because you know they just aren't going to allow this to continue on because this would destroy them. So they have to have something in place. And maybe this is why the World Economic Forum said there might be some type of cyber attack. Now, again, Trump has basically defunded a lot of their operation, shut down USAID, shut down the 14 computers that just created the currency, or actually those systems might be still up and running, but they're now actually accounting for everything that they send out. But a lot of the other money that was coming into the NGOs and everything else, that was shut down. Their intelligence was shut down. A lot of people in the Obama administration, fake news, they're not getting, a lot of law firms, they're not getting intelligence anymore. So do they have the ability to actually push something? Maybe, maybe not. Remember, Trump is in the process now of weakening them every step of the way. Now, they might be weakened enough where the cyber attack, they can't really pull it off the way they wanted to pull off, but we might get a taste of it, just like we're starting to see cyber attacks happen across the world. And they might try to use the fake news like CNN, MSDNC, CNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, you name it. They will try to use this to convince everyone that, yes, we have a major, major cyber attack in this country. And yes, they might shut down certain things, saying that, look, these certain areas were hit. Now, they might have malware and other type of viruses already planted in certain devices, which I do believe they do have, and they might trigger them, and they most likely will shut down certain things. Now, again, it costs a lot of money to keep the narrative up. I don't know if they have the ability to keep it up. Of course, they have to get it off the ground. Maybe they don't have enough money and enough resources to do this, but it looks like something's on its way because, again, we know that as this information comes out, it's going to be very, very difficult. And Trump, he let us know that there might be a tsunami, which actually it didn't happen. Yes, there were, large waves out in the Pacific, but it didn't demolish Hawaii. It didn't hit the coast of California. Yes, I think some people got flooded and stuff like that. And it, wreaked havoc on businesses and travel and everything like that. But I think we weathered this storm, and I don't think there's any risk right now. I think there's just an advisory happening right now. But since he put that out, which he never does really, he never puts out like, hey, by the way, there's going to be a disaster or something's going to come up. Since he put that out, we know there's going to be a tsunami of information coming out. And the other thing that's really interesting is that Trump, he mentioned that Obama, because of his court case with the Supreme Court with presidential immunity, he pretty much saved Obama's. But Obama is pretty much trapped in all of this. I mean, think about it. Either he says he has immunity or he doesn't have immunity. Yes, he has immunity while he was president. But again, if he kept up the grand conspiracy and actually did other things when he wasn't president, this is a problem. But let's just say he has presidential immunity. Well, that means if he's subpoenaed and he testifies in front of court, almost like when we heard about the auto pen and we heard about all the pardons with Fauci and Hunter Biden and all the other people that gave themselves pardons. Well, they could be subpoenaed to testify in front of Congress, and if they lie, they go to jail. They can't plead the fifth. The same thing with Obama right now. Oh, yeah, presidential immunity? Okay, because of that, Congress can subpoena you. You can appear in front of Congress. You can't plead the fifth. And when you answer, you have to be truthful, because if it turns out that you lied about anything, this is going to be a major, major problem. Plus, I do believe that he did a lot of these things after he was president, like overthrow the United States government in 2020. I do believe he orchestrated all that. That is going to be another problem. So no matter which way Obama turns, I think he's trapped in all of this. And I think Trump trapped him in this, and there's no escape. We're going to be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Sydney Sweeney and all these left crazy people, because they're going completely overboard with her doing a gene ad. Now, it looks like the American Eagle sold out of the genes that she was advertising. America is ready to go back to all of this. And you can see the left, they're so upset because they thought, hey, listen, we finally were able to take over the companies. We're finally able to push our message. We're finally able to have a man dressed as a woman, push makeup, push light beer, push jeans. We finally have the fat people and everyone else. They can now be the spokesperson for all these different companies. And you know what happened when this happened? People kind of stopped buying the products. I don't want to be associated with this. And you started to see this in Target. You started to see it in Ulta. You started to see it in Bud Light. You started to see it in all these different companies. And what they're really pissed about is that now they don't have the leverage they had before. And everything is starting to change. And they're getting very angry, very pissed off, because remember, they were the protected group. Remember what the fake news, the D's, and everyone else did? They made them the fake group, the protected group, and they put them on a pedestal. Nobody could touch them. They wanted laws to say, if you say my pronoun wrong, you can go to jail. They thought they had all the power. Now they've lost the power, and you could see how angry they're getting. But what's very interesting, remember when Beyonce was pushing her genes? She had blonde hair. Why would she have blonde hair? That's very, very interesting. See, that was okay, but Sydney Sweeney, not okay. Remember when Dylan Mulvaney was pushing Bud Light and pushing makeup. He is a man dressed up as a woman. They said, that's fine. But no, Sydney Sweeney, that's bad. Lives at TikTok, says the following. According to Democrats, one of these is a beautiful woman and the other is a fascist Nazi propaganda. I mean, really think about this. Their entire argument, their entire narrative is completely and utterly falling apart. And you know what America is doing right now? They're making fun of these people. And the people are responding by purchasing the genes. And you know what the company is doing? Holy crap. We should have never gone away from this. You know what other companies are going to do? Holy crap. We're going to follow what you're doing because you're making all these sales. People are going to buy these genes. Well, if we do what you're doing, you know what? We're going to have incredible sales. And you watch, you're going to see every single company go back to the roots of America. And it's going to show them that the direction they were heading in was completely and utterly wrong. The people were never, ever with them. That's what they're going to realize. And you're going to see that all these leftist crazy people, they're going to be left in the dust. And all the protections and everything that they thought they had completely disappeared. Just be an American citizen. Be a good, upstanding citizen. Be a good person. You don't need all that other crap. But again, these people, they really can't get over that. They don't like America. And I think we all starting to see this. Now, like we said before, there was a massive earthquake of 8.8, and there were tsunami warnings in Hawaii, the southern part of California, Japan, and many other places. And basically, Trump, he put out a warning on Truth, and he said the following. Due to a massive earthquake that occurred in the Pacific Ocean, a tsunami warning is in effect for those living in Hawaii. A tsunami watch is in effect for Alaska and the Pacific coast of the United States. Japan is also in the way. Please visit tsunami.gov for the latest information. Stay strong and stay safe. As of right now, as of this report, it looks like they're now down to an advisory, and it looks like the tsunami actually never really hit the way they thought it was going to hit. But since he put this out there, what's very interesting, and he said tsunami, we know that there's a lot of information that is coming out against the Obama administration and the Ds. And we can see that the information now is picking up steam. There's going to be a lot more declassed very, very soon. And maybe Trump is actually speaking about the tsunami of information. He put this out at 10/12, and if we look at 22/12, September 19, 2018, it says, Rod Rosenstein attempts to stall, declass, and or redact have failed. Got popcorn? Enjoy the show, which means a lot of information is going to be coming out. But since there was a tsunami warning, there were reports that Obama was refusing to open up the private road to allow Maui families to flee incoming tsunami. The Skiff put this out and said, let's not forget who Oprah really is and all the scandals she has been part of. She's one of them. Her school in Africa faced child sexual abuse allegations, friends with Harvey Weinstein, tons of women and children being abused by predators. Look at her smile in the picture below. She knows exactly what's going to happen to her. Her house totally untouched by Maui fires, friends with a man who kept tons of women and children underground who would rape them, sell the babies on the black market, and discard the women after they were no longer useful. Yeah, Oprah is a real beauty and cares about humanity. They're all the same. Until we stand up, nothing will change. The question is when. Now, there were reports saying that she wasn't opening up the roads, allowing people to use her private roads to get to safety to a higher ground. And of course, I think there was a lot of backlash and a lot of people reporting on this. And all of a sudden, her team came out with a statement saying, no, our roads have always been open and all these reports are completely fake, phony, and false. And she denies blocking access as people kept saying the roads were closed. Now, once again, were the roads closed, not closed? Was she not giving access? But again, this actually brings Oprah into the picture right now, which is very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is we could see that Cory Booker, he lost his mind and he started to scream and yell that how dare Trump, shut down Stephen Colbert? How dare Trump, push these things that are unconstitutional? He was freaking out about all this. Again, everything that he's saying is completely and utterly wrong. And he's just becoming very, very emotional because you know what's happening? They're losing their grip on the narrative. People are no longer believing them. Their approval rating is in the dirt, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. But Trump responded to the idea that he's the one who shut it down. He didn't have anything to do with this. He didn't go to CBS, hey, by the way, I need you to shut down Stephen Colbert. There's no way he did that. This is what he says on Truth. Everybody is saying that I was solely responsible for the firing of Stephen Colbert from CBS late night. That is not true. The reason he was fired was pure lack of talent. And the fact that this deficiency was costing CBS $50 million a year in losses, and it was only going to get worse. Next up will be an even less talented Jimmy Kimmel, and then a weak and very insecure Jimmy Fallon. The only real question is, who will go first? Showbiz and television is a very simple business. If you get ratings, you can say or do anything. If you don't, you always become a victim. Colbert became a victim to himself. The other two will follow. And think about it. For many, many years, they really had no ratings. They were losing money left and right. So really think about this. Where was CBS getting their money to fund this operation? Who loses millions and millions of dollars? If your ratings are in the dirt, you're not making money, why would you keep something going? It doesn't make any sense unless you were getting kickbacks from something else. And it's very interesting that USAID was shut down. The money was no longer flowing. And all of a sudden, they have no money to pay these people anymore, even though they were losing money. Is it a coincidence? I don't think so. Very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is, yes, there are certain people that were arrested during the Cincinnati beatdown on white people. And you could see the police chief, you could see those people that caused it. They were pretty much released on bond, a $400 bond. Amuse put this out and said, one of the most violent members of the black mob that attacked and almost killed a male tourist and a single mother after a Cincinnati jazz festival was released on a $400 bond. Police chief claims he was the victim of the bartender who served him too much alcohol. It's amazing how they always make these people the victim. Oh, it wasn't his fault. He drank too much because the bartender just served him drink after drink after drink. Who paid for the drinks? He doesn't know to stop? So because he's drunk, he could do whatever he wants? I mean, really think about this for a second. So people are now looking at this saying, yeah, you know something? Things got to change. Because you could see who was put into place to protect these people. And yes, all these people that you see, they were put into place to protect the criminals, to protect their agenda. And I think it's becoming clearer and clearer every single day. Just like we knew that they were going to call out gun control in New York City when we had this individual actually kill certain people. And again, the whole story doesn't make sense whatsoever. And you can see that right now, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he's calling on tougher gun law after yesterday's terrorist attack in New York City. But what's very interesting about this is that nobody in the city was able to stop him. You know why? They didn't have a weapon. If he came in with a sword, they still wouldn't be able to stop him. They'd all be dead. Doesn't matter what the weapon is. You need something to protect yourself. If you don't have it, you're screwed. The deep state has always known this. Go back in time, go back in history. Why do you think they didn't allow the people to have weapons? Because they knew this is the perfect way to control them. Miranda Devine responded to this and said, this is seriously dumb. Manhattan has some of the strictest laws in the country. The poor security guard was unarmed. Nobody with a gun was available to stop the killer. And Governor Hochul is out there, and she's claiming that the alleged Manhattan shooter had a concealed carry permit and claimed the permit allowed him to have an AR-15. She has no idea what she's talking about. That is absolutely false. Having a concealed carry permit centers on carrying of handguns for self-defense, not rifles. It doesn't give you a permission to purchase an AR-15. The concealed carry means you can carry a pistol. In most places, you don't need anything to carry a rifle as long as I think it's 16 inches. You know what? Most people don't realize pork is one of the biggest sources of parasites in the world. Study after study proves it. The CDC says pork is the primary source of trichinosis infections worldwide. The CDC lists pork as top source for tapeworms and toxoplasmosis. Research shows pork has poor detox channels, making it easy for parasites to survive and pass to humans. If you eat pork or sushi, travel, have pets, or simply want to protect your gut and immune system, it's one more reason to do a targeted medical grade full-body parasite cleanse at least once a year. That's why the Wellness Company created their ivermectin plus membendazole parasite cleanse. This uniquely powerful combination helps eliminate unwanted parasites and supports your immune system, digestion, and overall health. Fill out a quick intake form and get a 4-usage supply medical-grade cleanse shipped straight to your door. Head to twchealth.com/X22 and use code X22 to save $60 off plus free shipping. That's once again, that is twc.health/X22 and use code X22. So right there, she has no idea what she's talking about. And creating more laws in New York is not going to help. They already have laws against assault weapons. It's not even an assault weapon. It's a rifle. So did that really help? Let's see. They had the signs. They had the laws. They had they don't have reciprocity with the concealed carry license. Actually, I don't think they have reciprocity with any state, actually. So did any of that help? No. All of these things, though, you know what would help? If they all had guns in the lobby. They would all pull out their guns and shoot the mother effer. He'd be dead right now because of them, and no one would some people might be injured, but he would be gone. He would never make it into the elevator bank. He would never make it up to the 33rd floor, even though he's supposed to go to the other floor with the NFL, which I do believe is a cover story. So once again, you could see the D's argument is completely and utterly falling apart with everything else. And really think about it. Take that and take everything they did with the illegals right now. Because once again, they are protecting the criminals and hurting the citizens of this country. They want laws banning the citizens in using their constitutional rights, and they want the illegals to have all the rights, and they have the ability to do whatever they want. I mean, really, that's really what they're doing. I mean, take, for example, what happened with this individual where a San Francisco judge basically allowed him to walk free. Johnny Maga put this out and said, oh my God, 2 weeks ago, a San Francisco judge gave an illegal a restraining order against ICE, allowing to remain free. He was just arrested this past weekend for a string of carjackings, including one with a toddler inside. Who could have guessed? I mean, really think about this for a second. So they're allowing the criminals to roam the streets. They're allowing these people that broke the law to come into this country to roam the streets. And most of these people have criminal records. So this should tell you everything you need to know right there. And you can see the media, they love continually putting out hoaxes, and they, Maryland Man, Family Man. They just keep making up these ridiculous names for these people. Let's just all call them illegals. They broke the law. They're fugitives. Let's just call them what they really are. They're criminals roaming the streets of America. That's really what it is. They're criminals roaming the streets of America, and you know what's happening? ICE, the police force, is going to find them to protect the American people. Lives at TikTok put this out and said, new media hoax just dropped. The media is claiming an Indiana man was arrested for child abuse. Reality, he's an illegal alien from Honduras, and he raped a 9-year-old child. Yeah, this is not working the way they think it's working. Lucy and Wolf responded to this and said, the media didn't get it wrong. They chose to lie. This wasn't some local Indiana man. This was a foreign national, an illegal alien from Honduras who raped a 9-year-old. Yet every headline somehow erased that part. Why? Because acknowledging it would destroy their open border narrative. They don't report news anymore. They manufacture illusions to protect ideology. If this isn't propaganda, what is? And he's absolutely right. This is what they do. And I think the people of this country, they understand this. They understand what the fake news is. It's fake news. And every day that passes, they're proving it. Thank you, fake news, for showing everyone who and what you truly are. Now, CBS, they put out a report that the FBI allegedly is in possession of the Epstein jail video with a missing minute. Now, that's very interesting because let's go back a little bit in time. Remember, Pam Bondi, she was in a meeting with Trump, and yes, there were cameras there and news reporters there. And Pam Bondi responded to a question about the missing minute in the video. And remember what she said. And I do believe this allowed her an out because, again, if this is about getting the D's, getting the fake news, getting all these people to call for the Epstein information, not their information, the actual information, you need to set them up. So Pam Bondi did indeed make the claim during a White House cabinet meeting on July 8th, 2025. The statement was in reference to a 1-minute gap observed in the 11th hour surveillance video released by the Department of Justice and FBI on July 7th. This footage, captured outside of Jeffrey Epstein's cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York on the night of his death in August of 2019. Bondi attributed the missing minute to a routine nightly reset of the prison's outdated video surveillance system, which she described as dating back to around 1999. She said, "What we learned from the Bureau of Prisons, every night they redo that video. It's old from like 1999. Every night the video is reset. Every night should have the same minute missing." So now CBS is saying, no, that minute is not missing. And the FBI now has that minute. So did the Bureau of Prisons lie? Who put them up to the lie? Remember, every single video should have a missing minute. I think we all know that's all fake, phony, and false. But I do believe this was a setup to get the fake news, to get the D's to call for that missing minute. I wonder what we're going to see on the video. Actually, there are reports that there's much more than a minute that is missing. And it was spliced together using Adobe. So let's see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they have now set up the deep state players, and they're calling for more and more information for Epstein. Now, think about it. I do believe what Trump is doing right now, he's creating the perfect storm. D-class Russia hoax. Move it into the overthrow of the United States government in 2020. Who's now investigating that? The FBI, DOJ. They're investigating all the different elections, and they're going to report how they rigged it. And of course, you're going to see a pattern, but in 2020, you're going to see how they went way overboard, and they took the same thing that they were doing, but they accelerated their entire cheating system. They took it to the nth degree. And what he's doing right now is he's pulling in all the crimes that he has committed. And eventually, in the end, I do believe that he will pull in everything about Epstein, everything about what these people have done. And you have to remember, it's all the same players. It's all the same people. And when people see all the treasonous crimes that they have committed, where they tried to stop Trump in 2016, they tried to overthrow the United States government, it didn't work. So then they created a coup to actually stop him and impeach him. Then they released a virus on the American people and the people around the world. They caused us incredible amount of pain. And they overthrew the United States government and the duly elected president in 2020. They did the same thing in the midterms where they cheated in the midterms. And in 2024, they tried it again. And of course, when he was running for president, they pushed all these different indictments. They tried to kill him. And on top of that, hurting children, hurting young girls, hurting young boys. Do you think that's the perfect storm? I do. I think this is what all of this is building up to. And again, when do you strike? Do you strike now? No, you have to educate the people. You strike when you have the strength. You strike when you have the leverage. You strike when the time is right where they can't fight back. So whatever they're going to do from now until the midterms, and even after the midterms, when we have a lot more power and they're at their weakest point, they might try to do something during this period of time. Will it be as successful as it used to be? I don't think so. Will they use all their resources? I do believe so. And once this is done, I do believe at that point, as Trump continually shuts them down, they will have nothing left to try to stop what is coming. Trump will have the strength, he'll have the people, he'll have the leverage, and the people will be safe. Think about that for a second. Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that we could see that since Trump now is defunding USAID, which pretty much that got rid of, and now all that money is not being money laundered through the NGOs, it looks like the Soros-backed different agencies and different groups, they're having a very, very difficult problem. They don't have the funds. And Soros now, he has to use his own money. How far do you think that's going to go? Remember, they've been funding everything, not by their own money. It might look that way, but they've been funding everything through the money laundering. Amused put this out and said, weirdly, once its USAID funding was cut off, the civil society rating NGO Civicus decided that the U.S. was becoming a fascist hellscape and put us on their watch list. The NGO is now reliant on Soros for the majority of its funding. It is almost like they were blackmailing the American taxpayers. Who cares if we're on their stupid list? Does anyone really care? Who's heard of them? Nobody. Nobody cares. See, when you stop playing into all these ridiculous NGOs and all these different things, once you say, I don't care, it's meaningless, they have no power whatsoever. And what are they going to do? They're going to make it like, oh, the U.S. is a double fascist. Who cares? Nobody cares. Unbelievable. But you could see that TikTok and YouTube, they're now moving towards censoring. TikTok has launched Footnotes in the U.S., a crowdsourced fact-checking system, and other new features like Creator Care Mode, using AI to filter out offensive and unwanted comments, ensuring creators feel protected and safe. So who decides this? Who decides that, oh, this is what should be shut down, which this shouldn't be shut down? Remember, these are private companies right now. Do you really think it's just going to stay with this, or do you think this is going to expand? YouTube right now is going to get Australia Digital ID age checks by year end, plus new AI profiling for users. So now they're going to look at users and they're going to profile them. They're going to try to determine their age. So I do believe this is all about control. This is about keeping people from saying things, keeping people from pushing out the truth, because this is really what it comes down to in the end. It sounds good in theory. It sounds fantastic until they start shadow banning, until they start censoring, until they say you don't have access. That's when people start to realize, okay, this has gone way beyond what they said this was about. I mean, think about YouTube. When people were on YouTube going before the 2020 election, you had 3 strikes that they would let you argue or actually respond to what was going on. And then eventually what happened, they got rid of 3 strikes. They got rid of everything. And they just said, no, you're not allowed to say a word. And they just banned you. What do you think is going to happen here? Same exact thing. And look at the UK. All new UK cars will have breathalyzers and black box style recorders under Labour plans to align with the EU. Are we looking at total control right now? Absolutely. They're going to control what you can do. And do you think it's going to stop here? Absolutely not. I mean, the UK already has the Fake Safety Act, which means censorship. We all know what this means. They use words to make you think that this is good. It's always the opposite of what they're saying. And like we said from the very, very beginning, as Trump and team continually puts out information, and it goes against the deep state players, it goes against the fake news, it goes against everything that they've been telling us. And every day people learn that they've been treasonous to this country, and more people start to understand that these people have committed crimes against the people of this country. Most likely they're going to have to try to shut this down because the spin is no longer going to work. And what's very interesting is that there was a cyber attack in Russia, and it shut down their pharmacies and it disrupted healthcare services, which is very, very interesting. Out in Europe, The naval group, France's largest shipbuilder, has allegedly suffered a major hacker attack. Researchers believe that a data sample that attackers shared online contains real details. The company is heavily involved in the country's defense sector. In the United States, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota has activated the National Guard after a massive cyber attack targeted the city of St. Paul. In a press release, the office of Tim Walz wrote, "We are committed to working alongside the city of St. Paul to restore cybersecurity as quickly as possible. The Minnesota National Guard cyber forces will collaborate with the city, state, and federal officials to resolve the situation and mitigate lasting impacts." So that is very, very interesting because now they've been hit. These other countries have been hit. The UK, they had some type of glitch with their airlines. Don't know if it's a cyber attack or not, but it's very, very interesting. And they had to ground all flights in the UK. So this is all very interesting. So when we start to look at everything and we start to put everything together, I do believe this is one of the ways that they'll try to stop the flow of information. Now, it doesn't mean that they have the ability to do it, but I do believe they'll try. And we'll see if they get it off the ground. And I think people just need to be prepared for something like this. Now, as you can see, as Trump builds strength, as he has the leverage, and more people are backing him, you could see at this point, he is just letting loose on all these criminals right now. He took a shot at Nancy Pelosi, and he's saying that, listen, Nancy Pelosi should be investigated for insider trading. She's the only one that has done very, not really the only one, but she's done very, very well in the market. She never loses. She does better than Wall Street, and she has made a lot of money in trading stocks. So that is very, very interesting. But if we go back a little bit in time, in 2023, Senator Josh Hawley, he actually created a bill called Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investment. It's actually called the Pelosi Act. And I do believe Trump now is calling attention to Pelosi and many, many others like Maxine Waters and many others that do the same exact thing where they enrich themselves because they have insider information. And I do believe this is all now going to come to an end. And I do believe there's going to be an investigation into Pelosi and many, many others. Let's go back to post 1187, April 19, 2018. The words used are intel and buying, selling will bury her. Think net worth, class level, highest. So we're talking about Nancy Pelosi here. And I do believe you're going to find out that she has been using information to make herself and her husband very, very wealthy. And we'll have to see how this all plays out. This is going to be very, very interesting. Now, the other thing that's very interesting, as all this news comes out about Russian collusion, and yes, there's Kerry, there's Peter Strzok, there's Lisa Page, there's Brett and Clapper, there's Obama, there's Hillary Clinton. If you notice, each one of these individuals, they're starting to shut down their X accounts or they're blocking people. Right Angle News Network put this out and said, John Kerry has just locked his page and hidden his posts days after former FBI agent Peter Strzok wiped all posts from his. Very interesting. And just let everyone know, he did this in December 29th of 2024. So I do believe he saw the writing on the wall because it was open before that. Why would he lock it down? I think he knew what was coming. And you could see that these people are now panicking. Let's see if others start to lock down their accounts. Remember, as more and more information comes out and it points the finger at all these people, I think these people are now panicking like we've never seen before. Svetlana Lakhova put this out and said, Barack Obama knew about Hillary's plan in July 2016 to dirty up Donald Trump and allowed it to proceed, resulting in Crossfire Hurricane, Mueller witch hunt, putting Mike Flynn through hell. And yes, this is exactly what happened. Chuck Grassley says, thumb drives containing unreviewed info on Clinton email scandal and mishandling of highly classified info have been sitting at an FBI offshoot office in 2018. I sent a letter with House Intel Chair Crawford asking Director Patel to review materials and report back ASAP. And what's very interesting is that FBI Director Kash Patel found thousands of Russian collusion host documents in burn bags in a secret room at the FBI. One of the documents in the burn bags included the classified annex to the John Durham report that includes the underlying intelligence he investigated. CIA Director John Ratcliffe is expected to declassify the annex to Durham's final report and send it to Senator Grassley, who will release it to the public. Kash Patel and his team of investigators discovered a previously undisclosed skiff at the FBI headquarters. So basically, you could see that these individuals, they were trying to hide the information. They were trying to dispose of the information. And eventually, I do believe that all of it failed. And I think Kash, Bondi, Ratcliffe, Tulsi Gabbard, I think they have all the information. Remember, Trump, he declassified this information a long time ago. I do believe that Obama and team and Biden and the rest, they were all looking for this information at Mar-a-Lago. And once again, Trump, I don't think he kept it there. But he did declassify everything. He has everything on these people. And what's very interesting is that Trump let everyone know that Obama should thank him because there was a Supreme Court ruling saying that Obama has presidential immunity. But you have to remember, with presidential immunity, he can be subpoenaed in front of Congress, and he cannot invoke the Fifth Amendment due to his presidential immunity. So if Obama lies as a private citizen about what he did during his presidency, that immunity evaporates, potentially exposing him to criminal prosecution. Once called before a grand jury, Obama must testify under oath. If he misrepresents or lies about any matter related to his official conduct, he loses that immunity from the date of the lie onward. That single moment as a private citizen could nullify the entire blanket he once relied on. And the question is, what about the crimes that he committed as a citizen? Does immunity actually extend to that? I don't think so. And you can see what Trump and the Patriots are doing right now. They are now educating the people on treason. Joe Lange put this out and said, more and more information is going to keep being declassified and more whistleblowers are going to make appearances in the media to expose the Obama-Hillary coup attempt. The American people are being educated on treason right before prosecutions. Absolutely. And this is what people are learning right now. And you can see the deep state players, they're so panicked right now. They know that it's going to be very, very difficult to cheat in the midterms. They're going to try, but they know if they lose the midterms, they are definitely screwed. And you can see this is why Schumer is out there trying to convince everyone that if we use voter ID, the black population will not know how to vote. They won't be able to vote. I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. I mean, how racist is he? And actually, every single black person should be appalled because now he's saying that black people are stupid. They're poor. They don't have the ability to actually produce an ID. I mean, really think about this for a second. Mike Lee responded to Chuck Schumer, and he says the following. It's scandalously false to suggest that the SAVE Act is requiring proof of citizenship to vote in U.S. elections is somehow an attempt to revert to Jim Crow. The SAVE Act is designed to make it easier to vote and hard to cheat. Chuck Schumer couldn't be more wrong. And he's absolutely right. This is to stop the deep state players from cheating. This is why they're so panicked. This is why they're resorting to this. But think about it. The deep state players, the Ds, they want ICE to show their IDs to them, to the people, to make sure that they're ICE. But to vote for your person who's going to run the country, the people shouldn't produce an ID. Interesting. You need an ID for what? Welfare, food stamps. You need an ID to rent a car, get a hotel room. You need an ID for everything. Open a bank account, get a phone. But for voting, no. That's racist. I mean, really think about this. It's so stupid already. And I don't think anyone's buying it anymore. Now, Trump, he knows he needs to get his people confirmed. And we can see that once again, the deep state players, the rhinos, especially the Ds, they don't want this to happen because they know once his people in the place, they're kind of screwed. And now Trump is now hitting Chuck Grassley saying, listen, we need you to do something. We need you to help get people confirmed. And this is what Trump put out. Chuck Grassley, who got reelected to the U.S. Senate when he was down by a lot in the great state of Iowa, could solve the blue slip problem we are having with respect to the appointment of highly qualified judges and U.S. attorneys with a mere flick of the pen. Democrats like Schumer, Warner, Kaine, Booker, Schiff, and others, sleazebags all, have an ironclad stoppage of great Republican candidates. Put simply, the President of the United States will never be permitted to appoint the person of his choice because of an ancient and probably unconstitutional custom that if you have even one person in the opposite party serving in the U.S. Senate, she must give consent, thereby completely stopping the opposite party's nomination. The only way to beat this hoax is to appoint a Democrat or a weak and ineffective Republican. Therefore, I would never be able to appoint great judges or U.S. attorneys in California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, Virginia, and other places where there is, coincidentally, the highest level of crime and corruption. The places where fantastic people are most needed. Senator Grassley must step up like crooked Joe Biden did when he openly broke at least 2 times the blue slip scam, and like others have done over the years, and let our great Republican judges and U.S. attorneys be confirmed. He should do this immediately and not let Democrats laugh at him, at the Republican Party, for being weak and ineffective. The Democrats have broken this ridiculous custom on us. It's time that we break it on them. Chuck, I know you have the courage to do it. Go do it. So that's very interesting. Yes, Chuck Grassley did respond to him. But actually, Trump also re-truthed Kerry. And Kerry at Strzok put this out. Dethrone the king's term limits. No kings. How long has their reign in government been? Chuck Grassley, 50 plus years. Joe Biden, 48 plus years. Chuck Schumer, 44 plus years. Mitch McConnell, 40 plus years. Nancy Pelosi, 38 plus years. Bernie Sanders, 34 plus years, etc. Trump, 4 years and 5 months. But Donald Trump is a king. Absolutely. So Grassley responded, and he said that Trump is lashing out on him. Eric Doherty put this out and said, GOP Senator Chuck Grassley is upset about President Trump asking him to fast-track the judicial nominees. Grassley says precedent must be upheld. I was offended by what the president said, and I am disappointed it would result in personal insults. Unreal. So it's time for senators like Grassley, who is 91 years old, to retire since they won't fight fire with fire. Someone like Senator Josh Hawley should take Grassley's place. Absolutely. But think of what Trump is doing right now. He's calling out all these people, and he's calling out this ridiculous rule that they have. Observing Consciousness responded to all this and said, this isn't about Trump versus Grassley. It's a narrative release, an exposure op. The real headline. Blue slips aren't law. They're courtesy. In 2021, Democrats burned that courtesy to the ground when Durbin pushed through Rachel Rollins despite GOP objections. Now, Trump's just saying, use their playbook. Grassley's outrage isn't about principle. It's about protecting a system the Dems already gutted. This moment isn't about 51 votes. It's about whether the GOP has the spine to govern like it won. The precedent has already been set. The only question now, will you use it? And he's absolutely right. And for those people that don't know what the blue slip is, the blue slip refers to a long-standing informal tradition in the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee used during the confirmation process for federal judicial nominees, primarily district and circuit court judges and U.S. attorneys. It originated around 1917 as a courtesy to give senators from a nominee's home state input on whether the individual is suitable for a position tied to their state. When the president nominates someone for a federal district court, circuit court, or U.S. attorney position in a specific state, the Senate Judiciary Committee chair sends a liberal blue piece of paper, the blue slip, to each of the 2 senators from that state. The senators can return a positive blue slip indicating approval and allowing the nomination to proceed to a hearing and vote, return a negative blue slip signaling opposition, not return the slip at all, which is often treated as opposition. The impact depends on the committee's chair policy at the time. In some eras, a single negative or unreturned slip acted as a veto, blocking the nomination entirely. In others, it was giving significant weight but not treated as absolute, allowing the committee to move forward if the White House had consulted the senators. It's not a formal Senate rule or law. It's a custom, enforced or not, at the chair's discretion. It applies mainly to district courts and U.S. attorneys, and less strictly to circuit courts, which cover multiple states. The goal was originally to encourage bipartisan consultation and ensure nominees have local support, but has evolved into a tool for senators to negotiate or obstruct. Historical changes in enforcement, the blue slips application has varied by committee chair and political context, often reflecting partisan dynamics. Trump says the tradition is unfair, it's an obstructionist scam that hinders presidential appointments and may probably be unconstitutional by giving individual senators undue veto power over executive nominees. Critics like Trump argue it's abused by the opposition to block qualified candidates, especially in politically divided states, turning a courtesy into partisan weapon. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. And Trump is just telling Grassley, it's time to end this ridiculous thing. And we need to get these people confirmed. So basically, the Dems, they tried to get rid of the blue slip when it didn't go their way. So I think it's time to end this at all because this has nothing to do with the Constitution. And it seems that it's changed over time. And now we can see the deep state players, they use it to benefit themselves. And it's time to end it. But one thing that is good, Emile Beauvais, he was now confirmed as a judge. Mike Davis responded to Emile becoming a confirmed judge and says, "We want to clone him. More bold and fearless judges in the mold of Emile are coming." Absolutely. And what's very interesting is that Trump's approval rating, I know the fake news is continually trying to convince you that his approval rating is 40%, 30%, whatever it is. Well, his actual approval rating right now is around 52.25%. And again, the people, they're on his side and they want him to continue with the mandate. And you know, the deep state players, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make you believe that he's not popular anymore. And think about it. This is what they've done in the past. They try to convince you that Kamala was very popular. And we know that this is all fake. And Trump, he's been retruthing a lot of individuals' memes. And Spiritual Street Fighter 17, he got his meme retruth. And the meme says the following: "Be the calm in the storm. We knew this day would come, letting us know that right now the storm is building. We, the people, must keep that the people that are in the know must keep the other people very, very calm." And I do believe the storm is now building. The pieces are coming together, and Trump now is going to use this against the deep state players. And when it hits, it's going to be fierce. And the deep state players, they will not be able to stop any of this. And we knew that this day would eventually come. And here it is. And it's building and building and building. Why? Because the Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.